Hey everyone, before we jump into the story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you want more content like this. And if you have a story of your own, send it my way. My contact info is down in the description, and I'd love to feature it in a future video. Thanks. The key was under the mat, exactly where I told her it would be. My flight back from the Denver conference had been canceled, then uncanceled, turning a 4 p.m. arrival into a midnight one. I'd texted her from the airport, but there was no response. Not strange for a Friday night. She was probably out with the girls, phone lost somewhere in the depths of a glittery clutch. All I wanted was my bed. The quiet of the apartment felt like relief after 3 days of forced smiles and empty networking. I dropped my suitcase by the door. The thud sounded too loud in the stillness. That's when I noticed them. 2 wine glasses on the coffee table, one smeared with lipstick the color of crushed berries, her color. A man's leather jacket hung over the back of her reading chair. Not mine. Something cold and hollow opened in my chest. I moved down the hallway like a machine. Our bedroom door was slightly open. The scene inside was painfully predictable. Her, asleep with her back to me. A man beside her, his arm draped around her waist. On the floor, a condom wrapper caught the streetlight bleeding through the blinds. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. The hollow hum in my chest just grew louder, swallowing every other sound. I backed away without a noise, returned to the living room, and sat on the couch beside the dirty glasses. I waited. About an hour later, I heard movement. The bathroom light flicked on, then off. He came out shirtless and froze when he saw me. He was younger, with that carefully curated stubble of someone trying hard to look effortless. He said nothing, just retreated down the hall. I heard hurried whispers. Maya came out alone, wrapped in her silk robe, panic flashing across her face before settling into defiance. The guy, Jake, I'd learn later, slipped past me, grabbing his jacket and shoes, avoiding my eyes, and let himself out. The door clicked shut. The silence rushed back in, thick and nauseating. How long? My voice didn't sound like mine. Flat, steady. Leo, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. How long, Maya? She folded her arms around herself. A few times. It didn't mean anything. Months? Weeks? 3 months? A sharp, bitter laugh tried to claw its way out of me. I swallowed it. 3 months. While I was in Denver, presenting the project that would secure my team's funding. The project I'd stayed up late working on for weeks. The one she'd teased as your boring spreadsheets before kissing me. I'd thought that kiss meant affection. Now I understood it was dismissal. Why? She threw her hands up. Why? Because you're here, but you're not here. You're always in your head. With your work, with your silence. Jake is present. He's exciting. So this is my fault. I didn't say that. God, you always do this. Twist things until I'm the villain. She paced the room, the robe fluttering around her legs. It just happened. I didn't plan it. I watched her then, really watched her. The woman I'd moved cities for. The one whose father I'd driven to chemotherapy every week for a month. The person I'd pictured a future with was dissolving in front of me, revealing a stranger reciting an old, exhausted script. Are you in love with him? What? No, it's different. Do you want to be with him? I don't know. Maybe it's new. I need time to figure it out. I nodded slowly. The hum inside my chest was sharpening, condensing into a single precise note. Okay. She blinked, confused, like I'd skipped a line in the argument she'd practiced. What do you mean, okay? You should figure it out. I stood and walked toward our bedroom. The bedroom? Where are you going? Her voice tightened, following me. I didn't respond. I reached into the closet and pulled my old duffel bag from the top shelf, then went to my dresser. Socks, boxers, t-shirts, jeans. I packed without folding, just dropping everything in. What are you doing? She was in the doorway now, her voice climbing. I brushed past her into the bathroom. Toothbrush, razor, deodorant, the spare contact lens case. I dumped them into the toiletry kit. Stop it, she snapped, trailing me back into the bedroom. Stop this right now. Are you seriously packing a bag? You're going to leave over this? I unzipped my suitcase in the hallway, the same one I'd lived out of for 3 days, and began transferring everything from the duffel. Work clothes, dress shoes, my portfolio. Leo, talk to me. It was just sex. You're being ridiculous. I finally looked at her. The defiance was still there, but it was splintering, panic seeping through the cracks. She couldn't control the story if I refused to play my part. Just say something, she yelled, the words ricocheting off the walls. I took a slow breath. The note in my head was no longer noise, it was an order. Do not engage, just go. I need to understand, I said, my voice still unnervingly calm. So you're saying you didn't intend to hurt me? No, of course I didn't intend to. God. She gave a strained, nervous half-laugh, half-scoff, meant to shrink me, to reframe my pain as an overreaction. I didn't mean to hurt you. I nodded once. You just didn't care enough not to. There it was. The truth, clean and unvarnished. Not cruelty, indifference. My love, my trust, 5 years of my life weren't worth the smallest effort required to protect them. Something locked into place inside me then. Final. Like a heavy bolt sliding shut. I turned back to the suitcase and zipped it closed. The sound was absolute. I lifted it, slung my laptop bag over my shoulder, and headed for the door. Her confusion shifted into real fear. She stepped in front of me. Wait, you're actually leaving? Just like that? Where will you go? I stopped and really looked at her. The woman I loved was gone. What remained was just the shell she'd abandoned. I noticed the pallor of her skin, the way her eyes widened as she understood this wasn't a performance. This wasn't a threat. It was an ending. I didn't mean to leave you, I said quietly, evenly, holding her words up like a mirror. I just don't care enough not to. The color drained from her face. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. The laughter vanished. The defiance evaporated. She looked empty. I stepped around her, gently but permanently, opened the door, and didn't look back. The door didn't slam. It closed with a soft, decisive click, like the lid of a box sealing something that was already dead. The hotel room smelled of citrus cleaner and vacancy. I'd chosen the cheapest one near the airport, a place built for people passing through. I sat on the edge of the stiff bed, my suitcase and laptop bag beside me like silent, loyal sentinels. The humming in my chest was gone, replaced by a vast, quiet static. I felt nothing, no anger, no grief, just a deep, resonant emptiness, as if the center of me had been carefully removed, and I was left observing the hollow space. I didn't cry. I simply existed. At 2 a.m., I ordered a club sandwich from room service and ate it piece by piece, tasting nothing. I watched infomercials until sunrise, their cheerful voices a surreal soundtrack to the end of my life as I knew it. In the gray light of morning, the memories started to surface. Not the good ones, those were still sealed away, too dangerous. Instead, my mind offered something sharp and uninvited. 2 years earlier. Maya, crying, holding a positive test between trembling fingers. It wasn't planned. We were terrified. I held her then, my own heart racing with a frightening blend of dread and a fragile, unexpected hope. We'll figure it out, I'd whispered into her hair. Together. A week later, the miscarriage. She was shattered, grief laid bare, every nerve exposed. I took 2 weeks off work. I cooked every meal. I held her through the night terrors. I answered calls from her family. I sat on the bathroom floor with her while she cried, folded in on herself. When she finally stepped back into the sunlight, blinking like it hurt to exist, she squeezed my hand and said, I don't know what I would have done without you. I let that sentence harden into my identity. For years. Her protector, her anchor, the one who stayed. Now, sitting in that sterile hotel room, the irony cut deep. The one who stayed was the one labeled not present. The foundation was something you built on until you decided you wanted a different view. Then you abandoned it, buried, without a second glance. The static in my head began to thin, replaced by a cold, functional clarity. Grief was a luxury. This had become a logistics problem. My phone buzzed, then buzzed again. Messages. From Maya stacked up. Where are you? This is insane. Come home so we can talk like adults. Leo, answer me. You're really going to ghost me after everything? Fine, be a child. I didn't block her. Not yet. I opened my banking app. I transferred my half of the final month's bills from our joint account into my personal one. I canceled the automatic payment for our upcoming vacation, the Costa Rica trip I'd been quietly saving for as an anniversary surprise. The confirmation email felt like a weight sliding off my chest. Then I sent one message. I drafted it 3 times, stripping away every trace of emotion, every possible handle she could grab. My belongings will be collected from the apartment Tuesday afternoon. Your key will be left with Building Superintendent Lopez. Please remove anything you consider yours before then. Her reply came instantly. Maya, WTF Leo, you're just giving up. You're not even going to fight for us. This is how little I meant to you. I turned the phone face down. That was the last message of hers I ever read. I went through my social media methodically, untagged myself, changed my relationship status to single, unfollowed her, then quietly, without ceremony, blocked her everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even Spotify. It wasn't anger, it was hygiene, removing a source of infection. Next came the friends, our shared circle. I chose 3 I respected most and sent nearly identical messages. Hey, just a heads up, Maya and I have split up. It was due to infidelity on her part. I don't wish to go into details, but I wanted you to hear it from me. I'm taking some space, but I value your friendship. The replies ranged from shock to support to awkward sympathy. I thanked them. I didn't elaborate. I was building a wall, brick by quiet brick. Tuesday arrived. I hired a task service through an app. Polite, detached, strangers in match. Polo shirts packed the rest of my clothes, my books, my records, the set of chef's knives my father had given me. They placed everything into storage unit 317 and left the key with Super Lopez. The total cost was $389. It was the best money I'd ever spent. The following weeks slipped by in a strange, peaceful rhythm. I extended my stay at the airport hotel, then moved into a furnished sublet downtown, a minimalist box overlooking other buildings. I went to work, I did my job, I came home. I started running along the river. The steady impact of my feet against the pavement became a form of meditation. The quiet in my apartment was no longer hollow, it was clean. The first ripple of karma arrived 3 weeks later through Derek, one of the mutual friends I'd messaged. We met for a beer, his suggestion. After his first sip, he shifted in his seat. So, you've really gone dark, man. Just focusing, I said. On what? On not focusing on the past. He nodded, then leaned in a little. Look, I probably shouldn't say this, but since you seem so calm, things aren't going great with Maya. Jake? I took a slow sip and said nothing. My silence wasn't curiosity, it was permission. I could tell he needed to unload. She moved him in like a week after you left, total chaos. But the guy's a disaster. Lost his bartending job, either showed up drunk or didn't show up at all. I heard from Sarah he's got a bit of a record. Petty theft, disorderly conduct. I stayed quiet. And Maya's not the same. She was posting all these new chapter photos with him, but last week she put up some vague quote about trusting the wrong people, then deleted it. Sarah saw them screaming at each other in a parking lot. He threw a takeout bag at her car. I felt a distant, abstract pity, the kind you feel for a movie character making obviously terrible decisions. It didn't touch me. Sound. Unstable, I said at last, my tone flat. Yeah. No kidding, you dodged a bullet, man. I didn't agree or disagree. A bullet suggests something fired at you. This felt more like stepping off a road that was already collapsing ahead. That night, back in my quiet sublet, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Unknown Leo, it's Maya. I know you blocked me. Please, I made a huge mistake. Can we just talk? I'm so sorry for what I said, for what I did. I'm so sorry. The words glowed on the screen in the dark room. I felt nothing. No rush, no ache, no softening. Her apology landed like a pebble tossed into a vast ocean of indifference. I didn't reply. I didn't block the number. I simply swiped the notification away. The screen went black, reflecting my own calm face back at me. The silence returned, complete, and for the first time since I'd seen those wine glasses, it felt like it belonged to me. The quiet after her text wasn't strategy. It was simply who I was now. Her words entered the atmosphere of my life and dispersed like smoke in open air. I didn't feel powerful or vindicated. I felt free. The chains hadn't been broken in some dramatic struggle. I just realized they were never locked, and walked away. My life began filling again. Not with noise, but with substance. I signed up for a woodworking class at the community center, something I'd always mentioned to Maya, who used to dismiss it as a dusty old man hobby. The smell of sawdust, the concentration required to make a clean cut, became a meditation. I reconnected with Ben, a college friend she'd labeled too cynical. We started hiking every Sunday. The conversations were easy, punctuated by long, comfortable silences as we climbed. I didn't mention her. He didn't ask. Meanwhile, my old world kept imploding without me. Updates trickled in through the reluctant grapevine. Mutual acquaintances who seemed compelled to confirm the wreckage. Jake's collapse was fast and public. 2 months after I left, a friend of a friend posted a shaky video from a downtown bar. Jake, shirtless, screaming, was pinned to the hood of a police cruiser. The caption read, "Tried to fight the bouncer, the bartender, and the cops. #yikes." I scrolled past. It wasn't my story. Then came the first flying monkey. A call from Lacey, Maya's closest friend, a woman who had always treated me like a mildly disappointing accessory to Maya's life. "Leo, hi. God, it's been forever." Her voice was dripping with artificial warmth. I was in my workshop sanding the edge of a maple serving board. "Listen, I'm just calling as a friend, to both of you. I know what Maya did was unforgivable. I neither agreed nor disagreed. I kept sanding. Swish, swish. The sound grounded me. But she's really not okay. Jake was a monster. He maxed out her credit cards. He gave her a black eye before he got arrested. She's devastated, completely alone. Swish, swish. She's learned her lesson, Leo, a really, really hard one. I think if you just heard her out, it could help her heal. She still loves you, she's just lost. I set the sander down. The wood was smooth beneath my fingers. I appreciate you reaching out, Lacey, I said evenly. But my decision is final. I hope she finds the support she needs. The unspoken part was clear from someone else. There was a long pause. My calm had dismantled her script. You're really that cold? She finally asked, the sweetness gone. I'm that resolved, I corrected gently. Take care. The next attempt was more direct. A voicemail from Maya's sister, Chelsea, the woman whose approval I'd chased for years without success. Leo, it's Chelsea. Look, I've never gotten involved in your relationship, but this is too much. She's screwed up, okay? People make mistakes. But you cutting her off completely when she's at her lowest, that's not the man I thought you were. That Jay creep is exactly where he belongs, behind bars. But she's the one serving a life sentence inside her own head. Have some compassion. Call her. I deleted the voicemail. The man she believed I was had never really existed. He was a convenient fiction. A calm, accommodating presence designed to stabilize her sister's chaos. That man was gone. The final desperate confirmation didn't come from a person, but from the digital fog. One slow evening, driven by nothing more than detached curiosity, Ben pulled up Jake's public court records on his laptop. There it was, multiple charges from the bar fight, along with an older warrant for violating a restraining order filed by another ex-girlfriend. The pattern was unmistakable. This wasn't an accident. It was a trajectory. Maya hadn't traded stability for excitement. She'd leapt from solid ground onto a known fault line. Later that night, my phone lit up with a local number. I let it ring out. An hour later, I listened to the voicemail. It was Maya, but not the pleading, fractured voice from before. This one was raw, frayed, vibrating with anger that had finally burned through the victim mask. You know what, Leo? Fine. You win. You're the perfect stoic martyr. I get it. Her words slurred, blurred by alcohol or tears. I'm the villain. I'm the crazy bitch who ruined everything. But you were never capable of real love, were you? Real love forgives. Real love fights. You just leave. You're a ghost. A fucking polite, pleasant ghost. Her breath hitched. I lost everything. Everything. And you can't even pick up the phone to tell me I got what I deserved. You're a coward. A cold, heartless coward. I'm better off. Do you hear me? I am better off. The message ended with a dull crash, something thrown, then sobbing, then the dial. Tone. I saved the voicemail. Not for nostalgia, but as evidence. This was the core. When remorse failed to provoke a response, this was what surfaced. Rage at consequences that hadn't been outsourced to someone else. The final trace of softness inside me crystallized, turning to stone. She'd shown me who she was twice now. First through indifference, then through fury. I believed her both times. That weekend, I finished the maple serving board. I oiled it until the grain glowed deep and warm. Ben came over. I grilled steaks. We ate off my new creation on the narrow balcony of my sublet, city lights flickering below. Something steady and immovable settled into place inside me. The noise of my past had faded to a distant echo. Here, in the quiet present, I was building something real. One straight cut, one calm day at a time. I knew the stage was set. The final act wouldn't be mine to perform. But I was certain, absolutely certain, she'd try to pull me back into her story one last time. And I knew, with even greater certainty, that I'd have no lines left to speak. 6 months to the day after I walked out, I was waiting for a cortado at the Grind, a coffee shop near my new office. The sublet was long gone. I'd signed a lease on a modern, light-filled apartment overlooking the river, with space for a real workshop. The maple board had been only the first of many projects. The silence there belonged to me, filled with music when I wanted it, or the clean quiet of focused creation. Ben was running late, so I ordered first, scrolling through plans for a custom bookcase on my phone. I was at peace. Not the fragile numbness of the hotel room, but a solid, earned calm. The bell over the door chimed. I looked up without thinking. It was Maya. She stood just inside the doorway, outlined by the gray afternoon light, smaller, diminished. The vibrant, careless woman who'd laughed at my pain was gone. This version was thinner, shoulders hunched inside a coat that seemed borrowed. Her eyes scanned the room, then landed on me and widened. Shock, hope, calculation, shame. I watched it all from a distance, like observing wildlife through glass. I felt nothing. No jolt, no tightening, just mild curiosity about what she'd do next. She walked straight toward me. My table sat by the window, a small two-top, no detours, no ambiguity. Leo, her voice was barely there, rough from crying or disuse. I gave a slow nod. Maya, she flinched at the neutrality. It cut deeper than anger. You look really good. It was true. Running and woodworking had stripped me down to something leaner. The constant tension she'd brought into my life had drained from my face. I looked rested. Thank you, I said, as if she'd commented on a stranger's tie. Can I? She gestured weakly to the empty chair. I'm waiting for a friend, not a refusal, just a fact. Just a minute, please. The word please cracked. I inclined my head, the smallest allowance. She perched on the edge of the chair, twisting a napkin between her fingers. Her gaze bounced, my hands, my coffee, the table, anywhere but my eyes, which held only calm attention. I don't even know where to start. She inhaled shakily. Everything fell apart, everything. What I said to you that night, it was the worst thing I've ever said. It wasn't true. I was trying to hurt you because I felt guilty. I was a coward. I listened, no nodding, no encouragement, no interruption. I was a still lake, the pebbles sank without a ripple. Jake, he was an abuser, a con man. He took my money, he hit me. She rushed the last part, testing it like a key. My expression didn't change. He's in jail now, for a long time, I think. And I'm so alone, my friends are done. Lacey just says I told you so. Chelsea's sick of me. A wet laugh escaped her. I'm in therapy, I really am. Doing the work. She finally looked up, searching my face for a crack, for the old Leo. She found none. I replay that night every day, she whispered, tears spilling. I was cruel, selfish. I threw away the best thing I ever had for cheap attention. I'm so sorry, Leo, for the cheating, for the words, for making you feel like nothing. You were everything. The barista called my name. I stood, collected my cortado, returned to the table. I didn't offer to get her anything. I took a slow sip, grounding myself in the present. She gathered her courage, desperation lighting her face. Is there any chance, even just coffee sometime? I'd understand if you hate me forever. I'll take anything. Just a chance to show you I'm not that person anymore. It was her final move. The full confession, the vulnerability, the promise of change. A good performance. It might have worked once. I set my cup down gently. You told me the truth that night, Maya, I said, my voice steady and clear. You didn't care enough. That wasn't cruelty. That was honesty. She opened her mouth, but I continued. That truth gave me the clarity to leave. It was the only gift you gave me at the end. I paused. And that same truth means I don't care enough to revisit this. There's nothing to rebuild. Only ash. Her face collapsed. Hope guttered out. So that's it. You don't feel anything. I feel peace. It was the kindest and most devastating answer I could give. I hope your therapy helps you find yours. At that moment, Ben walked in and spotted me. He waved, his eyes flicking briefly to Maya before returning to me with a raised brow question. I smiled, a genuine one she hadn't seen in years, and turned back to her. My friend's here. I have to go. I stood, lifting my coffee. Take care of yourself, Maya. It was the farewell why. Ooh, give a stranger. Polite, final. I walked to Ben. I heard her chair scrape, a choked sound. I didn't turn. You good? Ben asked, clapping my shoulder. Never better, I said, and meant it. Ready? As we stepped into the crisp afternoon, I didn't wonder what she was doing. I didn't feel her watching me. I was already gone. The man she was begging for had vanished months ago. In his place stood someone she would never know. Someone who had built a life, piece by quiet piece, on a foundation of dignity far from the noise of her consequences. The last thread was cut not with anger, but with truth, and the silence that followed was finally, completely mine. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments.